Hello, it's your boy Zappa, King of the Giant Robots, here in association with Gunpla Network. If you're like me and you must catch all the giant robots like Red catches Pokemon, maybe you need to expand your horizons and check out Side 7 Exports, wonderful sponsor of our podcast. Side 7 Exports is your one-stop shop for all of your P. Bandai and those hard-to-get Gundam-based exclusive needs. After checking out their catalog, use promo code Gunpla Network 10 for 10% off of your glorious order.
Hello everybody, it's Kris from the Gunpla Network. This is episode 3 of our Gundamstorian podcast. I have the Spicer, Zappa, and Pat with me. Everybody say hello.
Hello.
Hola! It's your boy Zap, King of the Giant Robots, and welcome to the third episode of our podcast.
Yes, number 3. We haven't been canceled yet.
Uh-oh.
We have some supernatural backing to keep us afloat.
And we have the Spicer from the famous Gunpla News. Say hello, Spicer.
Yeah, I'm here. You guys will recognize my annoying voice as I continue to speak, but I'm doing things.
And you got a smooth voice. Shut up.
No, that's pretty smooth. I have a good radio voice. I have a good face for radio.
Yeah, you do.
I used to do the Gunpla News until Cody stole it from me.
Ooh.
I'm stealing the gerbs.
It was completely voluntary. There's no malice. So today we have a bit of a different podcast. We're going to be trying something different. The Spicer, Pat, and Zappa have picked 3 teams.
2 teams, man.
2 teams?
2 teams each. Yeah, 2 teams.
2 teams each, sorry. Of mobile suits from Gundam. And I'm going to moderate the discussion. They're going to try and convince me who has the best team. And just like whose line is it anyway, I'm going to use points that don't matter. And I will choose who I think is the best team. So, if Spicer, you want to start and tell us what 2 teams you have?
Yeah. So we thought about this idea, and we were like, okay, this is really... There's a lot of ground to cover, so we had to put some ground rules in just to make sure everyone's on the same page. So, as Kris said, myself, Pat, and Zappa have picked 2 different teams apiece, a Gundam team and a Grunt Suit team, just because you're not going to put Grunt Suits up against Gundams most times and not know the outcome. We tried to limit it between 3 to 5 units, so it wasn't just like one Gundam just wrecking everyone, but it also wasn't like 20 Leos, or, well, not Leos, that's a terrible example, but 20 Grunt Suits just mobbing everyone. There was no limit to universe, so if anyone wanted to pick something crazy like G Gundam, we could have, but spoiler alert, we didn't. No mobile armors. If you wanted to include ships for base support, you could. None of us really did, because they don't do anything, but whatever. And of course, we have to have a reason. So, starting us off with my 2 teams, I wanted to, go underground, wanted to be a little hipster with this. And I did the Gundam X Team, but post the Double X showing up. So you'll have the X Divider, which is arguably the best looking X Gundam out there. The Double X, the Leopard Destroy, and the Airmaster Burst. Pretty balanced. And the Grunt Team is the Jewel Team from Gundam Seed Destiny. I can already hear people yelling. With Ezac in a Goof Ignited, Diarca in a Blaze Zaku Phantom, and Shiho Hasenfuss in the Zaku Blaze Warrior. She's from the manga mostly, like you see her at the very end of the special edition. She's kind of like an ace pilot, but not like the same level. And I didn't include any other 2 because they would just be jobbers who got taken out super quick.
Oh.
So, sorry, what was your 3rd Gundam X team member?
So for the Gundam X, it was the X Divider, the Double X, the Leopard Destroy, and the Airmaster Burst.
Oh, Double X.
Yeah. Big cannon boy.
Airmaster Burst.
He's taking notes. He's judging
I have
you.
to admit, one of those grunt suits I haven't even heard of before.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, as a little little Gundam hipster here, but I did steal, I think, the X Team from Zappa. Zappa, who'd you end up picking?
You sure did.
Uh-oh. Maybe we should...
You did announce it first, like we had our shared document, and you did write that first.
Maybe we should have compared teams before we started the broadcast.
I'm pretty sure, like, I had an unfair advantage because I also started the document, so...
Rigged! No, it's fine. I came up with a plan B.
All right, so I guess Zappa, you want to go next with your similar team?
Okay, so because I had to come up with the plan B, I almost picked Team Tri-Fighters, but that felt a little more super robot than what we're looking for. So I went with the Shangri-La junk crew of Judo in his Double Zeta,
Nice.
El Viano in the Gundam Mark II, Bicha in the Haiku Chic, and Rue piloting the Zeta Gundam.
Very nice.
I have to get somebody in to announce my my Grunt Team. Just a second. Hey! What wa Dr. Akumu? What wa Dai Machino? I bring to you the Shrike Team, the Gun Blaster, and 4 Gun Easy Dana.
Nani?
Thank you. As my associate, our supernatural funding has announced, I brought the Shrike Team from Victory Gundam, Junko, Genko, Peggy, Mahalia, and Connie, all in various gun easies, and 1 gun blaster. I came here to make you cry.
I have to say that was like the sickest promo cut that I think I've heard on anytime recently.
Was that guy drunk or what? Too much sake.
No. I guarantee I'm going to cry, but because I know what happens to each of those girls.
They're in grunt suits. We all know what happens to them.
Oh.
Boom!
It takes it to another level, man.
GMs were just made to explode, my friend. That's all.
Oh. But you didn't hear the blood-curdling screams. You clearly have not watched Victory.
It's like that meme where you spend 3 months building your favorite kit, and then you watch the anime the kit appears in, and it explodes after 30 seconds of being on screen.
I mean,
or
if I
it
want
fires
that...
shells that destroy and crush children.
Yep.
Okay, Pat, I guess it's up to you now.
All right, so I'm rounding out the entries here with my grunt team being the Shazar unit from the recent movie Mobile Suit Gundam NT. Rocking the Shazar variant J-Stas and 1 J-Sta cannon. My 3-man team is going to be composed of the commander Yago Hakana, the pseudo protagonist Jonah Basta. He is not going to have access to the narrative Gundam for this little showdown because that would be cheap. I just grabbed one of the random teammates here to roll with this. We're going to use Amaja for this little skirmish. And for my Gundam team, well, given our last podcast and how we were subtly leading into what would eventually become the events that start Crossbone, I decided to go with the Crossbone Vanguard team.
Oh, go figure.
So we're talking all 3 Gundam, or Crossbone Gundams, X1, 2, and 3, piloted by the eponymous Seabook, or as he is known at that point, Kincaid, Zabine Shaher, and Tobiah Aronnax, the spunky teenager who is probably more angry than Camille ever was during the events of Zeta.
So that would be the Crossbone Gundam, the full cloth, and what was the third one?
Nope. I'm sticking with the X1 Kai,
Oh, X1 Kai.
the X2, and the X3.
There is a time in which they all three existed, side by side.
Just like that.
Very briefly, though.
Yes, very briefly. Because ends up being said, screw it, I'm going to the Jovians. And he lost his core fighter, and the X2 Kai ended up not being much of an improvement.
Yours will be an interesting discussion because the Crossbones have the extra maneuverability due to the gravity of Jupiter? Is it Jupiter?
Well, they were designed to function with that in mind, yes.
And then the fact that they're actually tiny mobile suits compared to some other suits.
And they're made to take advantage of the fact that everybody uses beam technology.
Yeah. That will be an interesting discussion. So, now that we've made public who everybody's team is, I'm just making some notes here. Who would like to go through their suits first?
Spicer, set the stage for us. This was your idea, and I need to know what grounds to walk into.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start us off. As far as, like, combat, everyone kind of fits well within it, so that worked out for us. But as far as, like, space versus in atmosphere, doesn't affect anyone too much, terribly. So we'll kind of just level that playing field. That's really not going to matter too much.
Maybe we should just stick to space.
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
Because I don't know if the Crossbone Gundams would be good on the ground.
They would operate fine on the ground.
They have an A on ground in Super Robot Wars. They're fine.
They do plenty of stints on Earth during the manga at different points anyway.
Yeah, so we'll stick with space just to make it easier.
Yeah.
It's a flat playing field.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go with that they're fighting each other, or just their basic battle
kind of
skills?
In a way. So the way I was kind of thinking about it is we wanted to go further in actually looking at the suits and the characters and the lore behind them to explain our reasoning. So instead of just like, oh, I think the Crossbone Gundams would be good because of their maneuverability, you also kind of have to take that next step and be like, okay, tactically speaking, they're going to be faster than anything that the Shangri-La kids are going to have. They're going to be better than the Gundam X Team, things like that. And, of course, more detailed. But so as far as why I went with my picks, as far as the Gundam X Team, I feel like it's one of the more balanced, but also kind of glass cannon-y at the same time. The Double X, if it hits anything with the satellite cannons, is going to destroy them. Regardless, like nothing here.
Are we allowed to rebuttal?
Nah, those dual sat cannons are a one-shot deal, man. Those
Are we
hit, they're
allowed
one
to
shot.
rebuttal?
Well, I'll get through the suits, and then you can derail me.
Yes. Of course.
Sure.
So yeah, that's gonna be really the linchpin of the strategy. Let the Double X try to fire as many shots off as it can. Then pretty much your fast kind of fill in the gap wherever we're getting attacked. The Air Master Burst, really maneuverable, regardless of space or air. And it's pretty packed weapon-wise. It's mostly beam weapons. I think it has some missiles, which I don't know that would really do much for anyone, but they're there. The Leopard Destroy is kind of going to be guarding the Double X as far as, like, you know, screening any kind of anything missile-wise or any close-range mobile suits that get close. And then the X-Divider is going to be kind of in the mid-range.
Well, I mean, come on. The Leopard is basically the heavy arms after heavy arms.
Yeah.
This is true, yeah. But I didn't want to leave the Double X by itself because I don't have a lot of faith in it.
And once it starts shooting its mega beam, it just has to basically stand there and not try to fall over.
Exactly. It's a really nice-looking statue, basically. But if I had decided to throw the G-Falcon in there, that might have changed it. But I didn't. Probably a stupid choice, but whatever.
Falcon. That was such a horrible kid.
Okay, Zappa, you can derail me now.
Okay, so my rebuttal, and I only thought about this a little. So between my four picks, the Gundam Mark II is quite clearly outclassed in all aspects here. The Hyakushiki's a little better. It's got some protection from beam. That's not going to save it from the satellite cannon, but that'll hold it up in at least a fair fight with the others. The Zeta Gundam, everyone knows the Zeta Gundam by now, but the linchpin not the linchpin, but the caveat to that is Ru is not really attuned to the Zeta's biosensor, so I don't have that to my advantage. What I have...
You have Judo.
I'm getting there. I have Judo and his friends and / girlfriend Ru over there.
Yep.
The Double Zeta has a biosensor. If it should happen that at any juncture one of them goes down, and very highly likely, you're fueling the biosensor. You're making him mad, and that's new type pressure unlike anything. That's my big catch here. Is I have the new type pressure and the biosensor high mega cannon. I feel that level of pressure is going to break the new type connection between the double X, the X, and Dome, and you're going to lose access to your satellite cannon.
That is a really well thought out plan.
Holy shit. Because if Judo can get mad about his little sister and pressure and scare Haman, I think he's gonna really mess with Tifa and any new type connection between the mobile suits and Dome.
So he's in the Zeta or the Double Zeta?
Judo's in the Double Zeta, and Ru's in the Zeta, but she's not really like biosensor attuned. I'm not using Super Robot Wars logic where you need to have a level to use it.
Okay.
I mean, to that end too, though, like Garrett is probably the most badass 17-year-old. Right up there beside Tobiah in terms of the shit they've done.
The special.
So,
I also have that advantage that two of your Crossbone boys are also new type, so that's new type pressure to mess with the all's heads.
yes, but I
have big new type pressure.
In my defense, I have a foil to the new type pressure.
All right, well then let's go into your crew. Let's go.
Okay, so like the Formula 91 before them, each of the Crossbone Gundams has a biocomputer. And like I described in the previous podcast, the biocomputer is basically a hardcore, souped-up analytical engine. What does that mean? It means it's basically running all of those potential scenarios and suggesting the best probable outcome to the pilot through space magic brainwaves and a little bit of psychomu input, while the pilot's having that nice little brain-to-machine conversation over the air. Kind of like the Zero system, sort of like Trans Am, not really, because Trans Am was based off of those two ideas first, if you know what I mean. So to that effect, that kind of gets around the whole new typiness, trying to get ahead with the whole feeling the, sensing the hostility, as it were. That's still very much a part of it, but it makes the Crossbones a lot harder to hit on that alone.
Yeah, if they're immune to the new type psychic pressure, then yeah.
No, it's not that they're immune. It's that there's a machine foil in place to not necessarily buffer it out, but provide options to get around it.
Yeah.
So, I didn't initially plan this. It just really worked out well for me. But what you said before about the Crossbones mostly being able to really handle any kind of beam weaponry, that's why I left the Leopard Destroy back. It's because I figured your boys is going to get close. I got to protect that double X, and it's literally all physical weapons. It's all physical projectiles.
Kinetic weaponry.
And I really don't have to hit a lot.
And that works great until they're met with the beam shields of the X1 and the X2.
That's something I was actually thinking about before, is what is the effect of, like, physical munitions against beam shields? I don't think we ever see that anywhere in canon.
Yeah, does it
Well, have
go
you-
all Star Wars and it melts through, or is it to, like, just disintegrate?
Yeah, because, like, the closest analog I have is from King Gainer. They do have physical munitions, and a lot of the units in that have a photon shield. And you see physical bullets just, like, hit that shield, like, nope.
Well, the way I see it, this is open for debate, but the beam shields are basically literally geometric shapes of beam saber, right? Maybe not to the same
Oh, I see what you're
power
saying.
output, but that's superheated light energy, right? As soon as those warheads hit, they're triggering ignition, basically. They're cooking the round off right then and there.
Yeah, it should melt bullets then, yeah.
Yeah. So with that mindset, it makes, like, I'm not saying it's not impossible to overwhelm beam shields with physical munitions. It's just you're going to have to run them down first.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that is partially
Yeah.
the second part of this plan. The X Divider shield is what they say equivalent to in the series, like a battleship cannon level power output.
The harmonica cannon or the
Yeah, the harmonica cannon.
The harmonica
I
cannon.
Yeah.
love the harmonica.
Harmonica hole!
So it, while not being as powerful as the Double X, would still probably be enough to take out most, at least portions of a mobile suit. Maybe not entirely destroy it, but at least make it significantly less effective. And it's a pretty wide shooting thing, so there's a good possibility.
This is where, once again, my crossbones, especially the X3, because it was made a little bit different, is a perfect foil to that kind of stuff. Unlike the X1 and X2, who have beam shields, it has high-powered I-field generators in its arms. It can nullify beams outright. And in some cases, it's even redirected them back at the originators.
But how much output can that take? Like, you're talking about battleship level cannons as well as
It's done that.
the
actually.
hyper mega launcher and the hyper beam rifle from the Zeta.
Yep,
Double Zeta.
it's actually stopped battleship grade beam weapons before. The catch with the X3 and its arm I-field generators is they can only operate for about 105 seconds each before they need to cool off because they've overheated.
Yeah, they
and-
do have a limit.
And they are basically on a 2-minute cooldown once they've reached that overheat stage. So
that hit that safety release.
even if the X3, and I'll give you guys this because this is a tactical opening you can use, even if the X3 is alternating, because of that 2-minute cooldown, there is a 15-second window where it is defenseless in that regard.
That is
I
where
have
the
ano-
X Divider's double beam rifle comes in.
That's assuming it's not eating the Murasama blaster.
That is true too.
However, Cody and I have Spicer and I have a very tactical advantage. I'm looking at. We're looking at Garrett, Jamil, Witz, and Royby, who are all a very tight knit crew. We've got the Shangri-La kids, who are all a very tight knit crew.
Yep.
You have Zabine. You have a turncoat in your number.
Yep.
At what juncture does he say, "I'm out," and shoot either one of them at the back?
This is pre his face heel turn.
But at what point does he turn? What point does he go into work for himself and his own survival?
That depends if his ideals are called into question in this particular battle royale.
That does
Well,
bring up a good.
We do have a lot of very moralized kids on our team that are always screaming about do good thing, not bad.
Technically,
Adults are
Kincaid
bad.
and Tobias would also be preaching that. Although Kincaid/Seabook knows better. Canonically, we know Tobias couldn't give two shits about space aristocracy. but he'd also been pulled aside by Sicily many times and told, "Shut up." Some people actually believe that firmly on this crew. You would be wise to remember that.
That does bring up a good point, though, as far as like group cohesion. We don't see that team run about like a whole lot together, right? Aren't they
No,
mostly
they don't.
like individual units?
Well, no. See, with that, Seabook and Sabine at least do work as a proper 2-man team for a good chunk of the early part of Crossbone, and then once they end up picking up Tobiah, things start to change, because then you've got Tobiah's new girlfriend there, who happens to be the Jovian Emperor's daughter, and there's a whole whack of things that just start capitulating things that go out of control. But up until Tobiah starts actually piloting, Seabook and Zabine are okay as a fire team. They know they got each other's backs as long as their interests align. But that is the key word, as long as interests align. Then yes, then there is the face heel turn, which is that dilemma. But
So your team cohesion has a problem.
our team cohesion is fine until you start
Until you
start
look at
trying
Tobiah.
to play some Sun Tzu frickin' tactics, if
Right.
you even can.
Well, I don't think either of our teams could do that, but you still have a until. You have a but, an asterisk in your team cohesion. Whereas our two teams are like incredibly tight knit,
Until they die.
and mine only gets stronger when I take losses.
Well, in
Fair
regards
point.
to Patrick's team, let's just assume that Zabine hasn't.
That he will not during this battle.
Yeah.
That
he's-
yeah.
Fair. But you it's still a point of contention. You have to call into play. What if?
No,
Ye-
and you are completely right.
He is a flippy flopper. That is a black mark against him.
Also, more so to Zappa's point here, not only is Zabine possibly a problem, which is somewhat ruled out now, but Tobiah also is somewhat to an extent, because if Zabine and Seabrook are working as a fire team, Tobiah's just gonna go off and do his own thing, and well, the X3 is really powerful. If it gets multiple units on at a time and that I field runs out, pretty much everything else here is going to have at least the possibility of doing a significant amount of damage.
Not disagreeing with you, but here's the thing about Tobiah. This kid has actually stood up to a mobile suit in nothing but a normal suit and won.
Yeah, but
So has
yeah,
Garrett.
Garrett
So
didn't
has
even
Garrett.
have a
This is
normal
true.
suit.
He's got guts. I'll give him that.
I unfortunately do not have that on foot mobile suit combat advantage on my team.
But they aren't a close-knit team, so...
No. So, yes, I'm fully aware of that black mark against my team.
Now, more importantly, I have to say that I have the resident best sunglasses of anyone here, so, you know, we've got Senior Neat in the X Divider just killing it in the sunglasses game. Like, full
Yeah.
Char level sunglasses.
Well, I mean,
He is that.
he is the
If
clone.
there weren't an actual Char in that show, he would be that show's Char.
He was that show's Char. Who are you kidding?
No, he's not.
Oh, wait, no. What's his name? The captain.
Yeah.
Captain-
There's a rando in episode 1 that is a Char clone. He has the scar, and he's part of the Red Bi-Stars team.
God, I love Gundam
He
X.
shows up for 10 seconds in the first episode.
I
It's a
remember
gag.
that guy.
Red by
Yeah,
stars.
he doesn't have a name.
Yeah, he gets his ass kicked real quick, too.
I don't even think he does anything, but that could be forgetting. Right? I know there's guys that trying to hype him up, like we're real new types. We were in the real war. We're part of the legendary Red Bi-Stars team. Give us money. We're broke.
And then, boom, they die.
Pretty much.
No, they
Or-
just you never see them again. They're not in combat. They exist.
That was like an...
They're there to set the setting of Garrett being a badass.
Oh, come on. X was basically Fallout Gundam style.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, pretty much,
More
yeah.
on, more on that later.
So,
Okay, so here's a question I have. So we're all generally know we know that we are meeting on a battlefield.
Yeah.
Are we taking into account any pre-battlefield like planning and preparation? Are we able to get in one another's bases because we all can sabotage each other quite well?
So I wouldn't say sabotage would be a thing, but if you did want to bring like a support vessel, like it would have been good to have it before, but I also didn't do that either, and we'll probably do that with my grunt suits.
I mean, literally, our crew on foot in each other's base, messing with our robots.
I was thinking.
Because I will say that the junk kids are very much going to scrap somebody's machine at some point without being in the mobile suit combat yet.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I thought this was going to be more like space battle PvP, where we all start in our separate corners and then have at
Yeah, I mean,
that's how I kind of pictured this. It's the pilots, the team plus the suit, not anybody running around on foot.
I could say if you wanted to count that as like
no
a
pre-battle
perk,
preamble,
but that would be like if things were super close, you could maybe take that into consideration. But yeah, I don't like that's a definite benefit, and I think that plays into their cohesion. Like they're all very good at what they do and are they trust each other very well a lot.
I mean,
words are hard,
I guess
but
as far as you could take it is if both suits get wrecked and then they hop out of the cockpit and start pea shooting at each other.
I mean, there is that possibility, but do we want to go that far?
That's true.
No, I don't. I think we want to keep the scope a little more narrow because we could spend days arguing about that.
Okay, so Chris, either judging or questions, what you got for the Gundam team so far?
Okay, for the Gundam X Team, what is the likelihood you think that somebody will break through the battle lines and blow up your moon base and making your X Divider a useless mobile suit? Sorry, double X I meant, sorry.
I would say with the Crossbone team, it would be, I don't want to say pretty likely, but it would be very possible. Just how, like, maneuverable they are, and I don't have anything... as much as I like the X Divider and the Airmaster Burst, I don't know how well they would be able to keep up. I think the double Zeta team I would probably have a better chance with, but like Zappa said, the moment I take one of them out, it gets exponentially harder. So it depends on which one you go up against, but I would, if you want to say like 50-50, I'd say that's probably reasonable. Maybe 60-40.
Yeah, because that basically takes out your Gundam X's.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still a decent mobile suit. That's the big thing. Like, if it doesn't have that, I wouldn't say it's like the Mark II, but I would say maybe like Hyakushiku level at best.
Yeah. Question for Zappa.
Yes.
I can't think of a question for Zappa.
Because you know,
did I cover my bases this well?
Am
I that well-rounded? No.
I think you might have, actually.
I have no glaring errors in my team composition.
The only thing I can think about the Gundam X's is you have your two big hitters with the moon cannon. The only thing is can you actually hit anything with it? Because if you're shooting at the double Zeta, the Mark II, or the Hyakushiki, they're gonna detect the shot coming way before the trigger is pulled.
They are all known new types.
Yeah, and in regard to Pat's team, the Crossbones, they will see it coming and just fly out of the way because of their high maneuverability.
we're talking 4.8 4Gs at max.
Exactly, so they're going to see that and they're just going to deke out of the way. The Gundam X Team, they have the Airmaster Burst and the Leopard Destroy, but those are, I wouldn't call them long-range mobile suits. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, like, saying the Leopard Destroy as artillery would be very gracious to it. It's a lot more of, if it had to leave guarding the X while it charged up, it could. I prefer it didn't. But
yeah, I see them more as defensive suits.
Yeah, the Airmaster Burst, I would say, would be more like trying to screen any incoming. Like the Zeta would probably be the best option there, as far as I get correct.
Airmaster Burst may be able to do some hit and runs.
Possibly, yeah. Like, I'd say it would maybe do a fair amount of damage like the Mark II, and it would distract the Hyakushiki enough. I don't think it would do much to it. That would be where the X Divider comes in. But really, like, the thing I'd really... And I'm glad Zappa brought up the group cohesion thing, because that's kind of how this would work out. And, like in the show, like, the Versago and whatever the other one was, I can't remember, weren't slow mobile suits either by, like, any means at all. They weren't, like, super fast, but, like, one's a mobile armor, the other one's kind of like the Epion, but just not as cool.
Truth.
So with the other three kind of running kind of a defense or just distracting them enough, I wouldn't necessarily have to take out the whole team in one shot, but if I could take out one, even if it's like the Mark II, I would still be at a pretty good advantage for even trying to line up a second shot.
Yeah, and then you get Beecha going crazy on you.
And you have Beecha and Judo creating a bigger problem for you at that point.
Oh, come on. Beecha was totally into L, so he'd be going crazier.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I guess, yeah, but then you've now had the new type soul of L in the biosensor.
I think if you were able to hit anybody, it would either be the Zeta or the Mark II.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree.
I would say more so the Mark II, the Hyakushiki, because Beecha is not Char.
Hyakushiki is basically a Zeta Gundam. So yeah, I would say the Mark II is probably the slowest.
Yeah, like it would be the most likely to be hit. But the other two, like, it's a possibility, and if they played it well, they could do it. But like Zappa said, they're kind of the same level as far as like knowing what they're doing, because they're both scrapper teams. It's like outside of Jamal Neat, he's the only actual like trained pilot there in the X Divider. So it really is kind of a glass cannon situation, because I don't think any of the other three by themselves would do any of the teams in. They wouldn't get totally wrecked, but they probably wouldn't win either.
I'd have to say the Double X is probably the glacier of the cannons.
Yeah.
Because the X Divider does have a bit of defense, even if its moon weaponry gets taken out.
Yeah, so the X Divider
use satellite cannon.
Yeah, the X Divider. The reason I picked it, like in that time frame, it doesn't have the satellite cannon. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zappa.
It does.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Jamil. Well, so here's two sides of that. Jamil doesn't want to fire the cannon, so he uses the X Divider, which has the divider shield. It's got the extra thruster on it.
Don't forget, it's got a beam gatling where the sat cannon used to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What you didn't put into play here is not something that I'm sure the comments will scream this at us, therefore I'll say it. You forgot about G-bits.
So I didn't
the
want to
G-bits.
throw those
the
in.
G-bits.
Like,
that is a limited run thing that Jamil would have access to, but probably not at the point where the Double X and the entire crew have that set of mobile suits. The G-bits are
I would refresh my memory. It's been a long time since I've watched the Gundam X anime. Are G-bits in the anime?
Yes.
I forget.
That's not a super robot we're seeing. The G-bits are the drone type mobile suits that protect Dome.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're the slave units. Got it.
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot.
So
about those.
Dome would have a defense. If you want to call into question what if Dome was taken out, it has its own automated defense. And Jamil or Tifa could put them to work, but to what extent?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would be annoying, but I don't think they would really stop anyone outside of the Mark II. I mean, maybe the Hyakushiki as well, but the G-bits themselves all had the satellite cannons, though, right? That was like their primary armament.
They were. I think they were lesser output, but more in number. Yes.
Yeah, that was the thing behind them. At least the ones that were modeled off the Gundam X. There were other ones that weren't.
Right. I'm gonna have to watch that anime again. It's been too long.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's slept on.
I agree.
It's one of the better ones. Yeah.
It has a great soundtrack too.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's really good. That's why I picked it. If you haven't watched Gundam X and you're like, what the hell is this series? definitely like.
It can't be that good. It was the only Gundam show that got canceled. Did you forget that the first Gundam series was canceled?
I'm not gonna lie, it's not like my favorite, but it's up there. Like it's super slept on. Like,
yeah, I don't know what all the hate for it's about. Like honestly, it's actually it's sure it's not the masterpiece that in my books that is Zeta,
Better than
but
Seed.
but it's really good regardless.
Well, it's basically it's an alternate take on the 1 Year War, pretty much.
So that I think that's where a lot of like initial hate came from. Like, this isn't my 1 Year War.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that.
yeah. So
Gundam Fallout will be another podcast later. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
looking forward to
idea.
that.
Okay.
Okay, so I think the standings right now is Cody's team is going to be number 3. I'm sorry.
I kind of felt it.
I'm having a hard time with Zappa and Pat's team.
Well, you haven't asked me more about mine because I only touched on the biocomputer. I haven't talked about all the other extensive cool stuff my guys can do.
Like the anti-beam cloaks
Well,
that have limited resistance, but they're there.
Oh, they work great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because-
Pat, if you want to elaborate on your guys, go ahead.
Okay, so we've got the anti-beam cloaks, like Zappa was saying. They can absorb a maximum of about 3 or 4 beam bolts before they're done. But the other thing too is we're in space.
Right.
These things are dark. They also
Okay.
break up the shape of the mobile suit. They add a level of what we call in what I do in real life of camouflage, in that they break up the shape.
Plus, they're
So
smaller than most mobile suits.
Exactly. So they look like space debris.
So they're tiny,
Right.
maneuverable, and practically invisible.
Yes, and here's another thing about the X2 Zabine's unit. He has a nice little tool called the Shot Lancer. This thing is, or not the Shot Lancer, sorry. It is part of it, but there is the Buster Launcher as well, which this thing is a long rifle that is a long-range beam rifle that is basically a modified version of what the Formula 90 modified Unit 2 LPAC used. So that's the Formula 90 Unit 2 long-range types rifle.
So it's
Something
like
based off of that.
a beam sniper rifle.
Yeah, it's basically a beam sniper rifle. It's a long frickin' rifle. But it has Zabine's fighting style, from what I remember and from what I've seen, has always been he likes to hang back and take pot shots. So aside from the other standard crossbone weaponry between the Zanber and the Zan Buster, right? We're talking with the Zanber, right? The beam Zanber isn't just a beam saber. It's so high powered it can block VSBRs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is no small feat. It can cut through other beam weapons. It's that powerful.
That's crazy.
I use cut with air quotes, but all 3 of them have this. And in the case of the X3 with the Muramasa blaster, as cool as that is, yes, it is very limited because it's 7 beam saber outputs on either side. So it's 14 frickin' beam emitters that give it the McQueedle look.
Is that the one that kind of looks like a crossbow, sort of?
No, that's the one that looks like a great big rapier.
Oh.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll show you
Oh,
later.
sorry.
But
Did you say
basically,
beam saber?
no, I said the
Zanber,
Muramasa.
Z8,
Well, the
yeah.
the
the
Zanber.
Muramasa blaster.
The Zanber looks like a giant beam cutlass, which is really cool. But the Muramasa blaster, that's the physical weapon that you see the X3 with, that Tobias brings with him when he takes over the X1 Kai and converts it to the full cloth. It's that big, tall, heavy sword.
But it's actually a gun.
It's not just a gun. It's a gun and a sword.
Got
And
it.
it's a sword
It's
that looks like a freaking beam McQueedle when it turns all of its beam emitters on.
Oh, okay.
And
I
it's
see.
been known to
Okay.
cut
I'm
through
just looking up a
battleships.
picture of it right now.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, okay.
Yeah. This thing is cool.
That is cool.
So
now that I've
aside,
looked at it, I remember seeing this now. So.
Yeah. Well, what you were thinking of was the Peacock Smasher.
yeah, the Peacock Smasher I love too, but I don't even think the X1 Kai technically has it.
No, it was the Kai.
Yeah.
That was something later on.
Yeah, that was basically the Skull Heart minus the full cloth. But we're not going that far. As much as I love the Peacock Smasher, I love it just as the single rifle. Forget adding the extra beam emitters on it. But still. What's this? Oh,
Zabine is in the X2, of course, right?
Yes, Sabine is in the X2.
That's why it's black and purple.
That's why it's black and purple. It's why he's got a shot lancer as well. Right? Let's not forget all of the crossbone XM units all have the heat radiation face open blaster effect thing.
The beam spit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the X1 is the one that has the crossbow gun.
Yeah, but not until much later. This is a much earlier version of it where it's only been modified once.
Yeah, that's the X1 Kai that has that.
Yeah, the one thing I love the most about the X1 when it gets up close and personal, it doesn't have to use the beam shields as beam shields, right? It's got the brand marker configuration, which is basically brass knuckles, but with beam spikes.
But you have to get in close to use those.
And we're not done there. The other thing that they're made for, because these things were, like I said, they were designed to take advantage of all of the standard mobile suit operation tactics, which is usually, big long firefights, whatever, people shooting at each other from a distance. They're made specifically to get up close in your face and beat the crap out of you. So the other thing that they have, which is a wonderful dirty trick that I absolutely love, is the heat knives they keep in their calves that can also be extended out through their heels. And I'm not even going to bother with the screw whips, because yes, they're useful, they have a purpose, but they are not the be-all, end-all. They have a tactical purpose if somebody in their mobile suit is close enough. But let's
no scissor anchors?
Scissor anchors were replaced by the scissor whips. Now, the thing with that, with the Zanbuster, of all things, is, let's see. Yeah, they do have rifle grenade capability. At one point, Seabook even went so far as to play the dirty move of keeping a nuclear shell as an alternative if he had to go that far.
Oh, wow.
Not saying he's using that. But one thing we should actually mention that everybody, at least out of the Universal Century entries, has. So, Zappa, you have this in your machines, I'm relatively sure, is most Universal Century mobile suits have dummy launchers.
They have dummy launchers, and they have
dummy launchers.
They have the plug spray.
Yeah.
Which is something that the Mark II Forward did introduce to almost like every mobile suit, period.
Yeah. But
every major mobile suit has dummy launchers and the goop.
But that was not a feature introduced until like the early mid UC 0080s. So
I think during the 1 Year War, I think only the battleships could launch dummies at that point.
Yeah.
Not mobile suits.
Yeah, the mobile suits in the 1 Year War did not have that ability. That wasn't introduced until like right after Stardust Memory as a mobile suit function. Because I know Jagans can use them.
So what you're saying is the goop is actually the ultimate weapon.
No, the goop is great in terms of if you need to seal a hole in a space colony or a ship.
What
happens
happens
use
if you
it
hit?
to seal up somebody's beam rifle if you're good enough.
This is also
Literally finna say that.
Sorry, Zappa.
You're fine.
I don't remember the junk kids actually doing that, but that does ring a bell.
No, I don't think it actually happened.
No, I don't think it happened. That's a what if.
Yeah, okay, but if we're talking dirty tactics, I mean, heat knife in the heel.
That's very Itchy the Killer. If anybody's seen that.
There's just so
no,
many
but I get it.
dirty
I've been
pirate.
playing Yakuza.
There's so many dirty pirate tricks you can do with the XM Gundams that it's not even funny.
Okay, I think you've made your argument very well. I think I'm gonna have to go with Cody as number 3, Zappa as number 2, and the Crossbones as number 1. Because
Fair play.
as far as I see it, the Crossbones are tiny, fast, and mostly invisible, have a ridiculous amount of beam weaponry and beam defensive, and they would just... It would be like death by 1,000 cuts, pretty much. They would just fly around the bigger, slower suits, and you just slowly chop them up into sushi.
Or do it very quickly. Take your pick.
Or, yeah, if they're lucky.
So the conclusion we can draw is the Mark II is the ultimate mobile suit, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Mark II, best Gundam ever.
Best looking Gundam. I love the Mark II. It's one of my favorites.
Hey, come on. It brought sexy back to being boxy.
It's like to think that the Mark II
Bring your boxy back.
is just Justin Timberlake of the Gundam universe. Also 3 of them, apparently.
Oh, God. It's like G Gundam. Now I can see his face on it. Ugh. Why'd you do that?
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're up to 52 minutes here, and we've only done the Gundam teams. So
And
now,
a bunch of intros.
now we have to do the Grunt teams.
Oh, this will be much faster.
So
Probably so.
who would like to go first?
Ooh, let me go first.
Actually, since we're all talking about all the Crossbone model kits, how many of y'all have that plethora of P Bandai model kits? For all the Crossbones.
Well, I was going to get into the ones for my Grunt team here, but,
I don't have any P Bondis of those.
P
I don't have
Bandai,
any.
I wish I did.
I don't have any
Yep.
Crossbone Gundam kits.
Well,
I
what if
have
you wanted to
both.
get some of them P Bandai?
I'm starting to regret that decision now.
Yeah, because I have 2 Master Grade X1s. I have the 30th Anniversary Edition full cloth, and I got the Verka not that long ago.
Yeah, I think I need to get some master grades of those, because I have master grade of the 1.0 F91. I got the master. Well, I do have a P Bondi F90, and
Jelly.
I have the Vignagina 1 and 2, which are both REs, but not P Bondi. So I
enough.
think I need to round off my collection.
Ooh, can I start off the grunts?
Sure. You want to refresh my memory what your grunts are?
Okay, so my grunt team happens to be the Shazar unit. These machines happen to compose of slightly modified RGM 96X J-Stas and J-Sta cannons.
Oh, okay.
To that end, if you're looking for high grade or master grade Shazar team units, our lovely sponsor, Side 7 Exports, run by our good friend Gus, does sell P Bandai units, and these Shazar Jestas are P Bandai, and he is one of the best places to find and get Gundam base and P Bandai exclusives if you do not have a P Bandai web shop available in your country.
And he ships worldwide.
Worldwide.
At fantastic rates.
Well, free shipping, worldwide.
Like I said, fantastic rates. All you gotta do is just be patient, because this whole COVID thing has not made things any easier, and despite having expanded his staff, again, the COVID problem has not expedited anything.
Yeah, shipping out of Japan is very,
Hard.
very
Complicated.
Let's use the word intermittent.
Yes.
And while you have to might have to wait a while to get it, you can use the promo code Gunpla Network 10 for 10% off.
Yeah, I mean, even if you place the order now and you have to wait, 4 to 6 months, you will get it.
Like, I guarantee you, I ordered the Gundam Base Limited Unicorn Perfectibility, the RG version, And I ordered that as soon as he had it up for sale back in August. I didn't get it till December. But I did get it. They were very helpful with basically telling me helping manage my expectations. I know that's not something you want to hear as a client, but this is the atmosphere we live in right now. If you want P Bandai and you're not in Asia.
He's not a large company either. He's just some guy working out of his home, as far as I know. I ordered... What did I order? I ordered a Vargile and a Pill Rider ground type from him, and they took about 6 months to come in, but that was on schedule with Bandai's release, and it was great. I have yet to build the Vargile, but
You'll love it.
So, in your grunt suit setup team, how many suits are we talking here?
I'm sticking with the standard 3-man team.
So 2 Justas and a Justicannon, or?
Basically, yeah, we're gonna go with Team A, which is basically they're rocking what look like whatchamacallit, full armor Jagan, or is it full armor Jagan? It's the upgraded ones with
the
it
Stark
is full
Jagan.
armor. Yeah, the Stark Jagan. They're basically rocking Stark Jagan boosters.
Oh, okay.
For backpacks with the rocket tanks you see on the full armor uniform.
Right. Yeah, I actually have a Strike Jagan.
Yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. They got, compared to your standard Jesta, they've got some beefier knee pads and looks like a fancier, even more spec ops head with a
And
couple extra doodads.
What era are these from?
These are from the end of the first century of the Universal Century. So we're talking Universal Century 0097.
Okay, so Unicorn era.
Yeah, Unicorn era. Well, NT, right? So
Yeah.
literally the year after the events of Unicorn.
Yeah, Unicorn was
97.
0096.
Yeah. So there'll be 2 units of these modified Team A types with these interceptor packs on them, because that's basically what they were designed for. And there will be 1 Justicannon unit, which will be operated by Amaja, as far as I'm concerned. In terms of my pilots, Yago has proven himself canonically to be a pretty competent leader, actually, in terms of running his unit both on and off the battlefield. He's very cautious, and he doesn't like to take chances, kind of like me.
Is your team a close-knit team?
I would say, with the exception of Jonah being the young buck who, as far as his boss Yago is concerned, is just run-of-the-mill. So when Jonah managed to be nominated to be the pilot of the narrative, it kind of threw everybody for a loop. But whatever, I haven't watched NT, so I'm sure there's some narrative reasoning as to why he ended up being the RX-9's pilot. But in terms of performance on the battlefield, Jonah is considered whatever.
He became the pilot of the narrative because of who was trapped in the Phoenix.
Yeah, that's well, again, like I said, narration reasons, plot reasons.
Yeah, I can't remember who was trapped in the Phoenix.
It was the girl out of that trio. I forget her name.
Yeah, I forget her name too. Yeah, he wanted to see if she got absorbed by the Phoenix or if he
Rita,
could
I
separate
think
her.
it was Rita. That was who it was.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and yeah. So, but basically, whatever. I mean, as far as Amaja goes, he's a competent pilot, and the one thing I've noticed in terms of just the combat ability of mobile suit pilots in the Unicorn era, most of these guys are clearly veterans of at least a few battles, at least, and we're talking savage crazy stuff that you do not see in the Zeta or ZZ era, even. Gimmicks that were unheard of except by maybe aces in the 1 year or era, in terms of just how savagely these guys will attack with their mobile suits and how quick they will come up with different fighting tactics on the fly in close combat.
Yeah, because these are basically high-performance Jagans.
These Jestas were rated as having up to 90% performance value as the new Gundam.
As the Unicorn?
As the new Gundam, the RX-93.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought you meant NEW. Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
NU in this case, or, Greek symbol. But
Yeah,
in
NU,
terms
yeah.
of
90%. That's
Yeah.
impressive for a gun
Yeah.
suit.
And that was the base Jesta. We're talking two of these guys with interceptor packs with Stark Jagan boosters as their standard. So these things were packing some impressive speed.
Which
in
is
terms,
impressive considering that the Jagans are pretty much target practice.
Yeah. The in terms of the Shazar team, mobile suit weapons loadout, it's your standard Jesta armaments for the most part. I mean, they've all got the Vulcan pod on the head. They all have hand grenades, which can be used as either actual traditional hand grenades or launched as short-range missiles. They've got their beam sabers in their forearms. They got their totally cool-looking soft style beam rifles, which can double as SMGs if they really want to. And their shields with the missile launchers built in on a separate arm on their backpacks. And the two things that they have that are different is they have, which will probably be used in this team by one of them, will be the Mega Beam Launcher and or with a tripod. This particular launcher was designed originally to be used with the Rizal B-type and the Commander variant.
Oh, okay.
And they, well, in the case of Team C, so Team A doesn't have it, but Team C would use what they call a capture gun, which is basically an underbarrel grenade launcher that launched a huge freaking electric spider web net that would be used for trying to capture the Phoenix Gundam in this case.
Yeah, I really like the black ops look that these Jagans have.
Oh,
Sorry,
they are
Jestas. The Jestas, sorry.
Yeah, they're so Spec Force, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
The very dark blue and the submachine guns and.
But yeah, they similar to the Gem Sniper, that forehead camera sensor can slide down and act as an enhanced scope as well.
Okay, I think that's good for your team. I think it's time for Zappa to step up and refresh my memory of what he chose.
So, my associate, Dr. Akumu, had brought to the table the Strike Team from Victory Gundam, one of which, Junko Genko, the squad leader, is piloting the LM-111 EO3 gun blaster, and the rest of the squad, let me give you proper names, Connie Francis, Kate Bush, Peggy Lee, and Mahalia Merrill are all piloting Gun EZs.
So you have a total of 3 suits?
I have a total of 5 suits.
5 suits. Okay, so what are the numbers?
Yes. Do you like the identification numbers?
No, I mean like how many gun blasters, how many gun EZs?
Oh, only the squad leader, Junko, has the gun blaster,
Okay.
and the other 4 girls are all piloting Gun EZs.
Alright, do you want to start with the gun blaster?
It's easier to start with the Gun EZ because
Sure, go ahead.
it's just a step upgrade. The Gun EZ is the not the League Military. Is it? Yeah, the League Military's like grunt mobile suit. It's a very, very distant descendant of the Gem. It uses a core block system. It's very standard and regulated loadout. You've got your Vulcans, got a beam saber up at the shoulder. You've got a 2-tube missile launcher, standard beam rifle and or beam pistol. Beam bazooka is available. In a clutch, they could grab an overhang cannon from the V-Dash and the V Gundam, and they have arm-mounted beam shields. Pardon my stammer.
Oh, beam shields.
Yes, all of them use beam shields. The only difference to the Gun Blaster over the Gun EZs is it's got fin binders on the back that make it more maneuverable. The loadout is exactly the same, with the exception of the Gun Blaster having access to a sticky web net sort of thing for capturing mobile suits and I would say incapacitating them, but that's not the word I'm looking for.
Well,
Yeah,
what?
so-
It's for
Immobilizing them. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay. And they have beam weaponry?
It's all beam weaponry from here, with the exception of the missile launchers mounted on the shoulders.
And Victory Gundam happens after...
After Crossbone.
Very far after Crossbone.
Very far after Crossbone.
We're looking
okay.
at UC 153.
I thought it was 173.
Nah.
Okay, I'm thinking too far ahead. No, that's like Dust. Never mind.
Yeah, Dust and G Savior.
Well-
or down that way.
Well, no, Dust is 168. G Savior is pushing 220 something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's so far removed that it's
Yeah.
unrelated.
Yeah, it's G Savior's 223. And Gaia
You'd
Gear,
think I would know that.
Gaia Gear in the alternate UC timeline is UC 205.
And then you have Turn
Oh,
A,
yes.
Turn A Gundam, which is like UC 3000 something.
Actually, no, it's a separate continuity where all of the previous alternate universes up to that point are just different eras over
Yeah.
about 6,000 years.
Oh, 6,000 years. I thought it was more like 3,000 years.
Well, it is more like 3,000 years, but if you think
Oh,
about
okay.
it. Anyway, off topic. Sorry, continue, Zappa, please.
Yeah, sorry, Zappa.
Oh, no, I didn't have a whole lot more to add there. They're very generic and standard. There's no customizing here. They're all rollout. It's a case of the Strike Team being a squad of 9 female-only pilots.
Are they close?
And
are they close
even-
knit?
Well, they are incredibly close-knit. So much so that some of them die because the others die.
Oh, okay.
Going through their bios here, Mahalia is killed in battle after the former squad commander is killed. She's baited into revenge and is shot down. Kate is, almost dies twice, but she throws herself in the line of fire to protect Uso and also dies.
So all of
Peggy is very much the same. She goes up against Chronicle Asher, that series Char.
Yeah.
She dodges death once and throws herself in the line of fire to protect Uso and dies. At the end of Victory Gundam, Connie also dies fighting Katajuna. And their squad leader, Mahalia, is, oddly enough, not the last one to die. She is second to last. But they do all bite the dust.
I see a pattern here.
Yeah. Victory is
I came here to make you cry.
Oh, Tamino.
I have no qualms losing any of these girls in battle.
Speaking of which, who was
and
the
they
first
will
again?
they will die to protect one another.
Kill 'em all.
They will
Tamino.
die to avenge one another.
Who was the
So-
first again? Because hers was the worst and the most cold-blooded.
Actually, the last one is not. That would actually be Kate. Kate is the one that dies holding up a building and is jammed through the cockpit while her
Yeah.
gun easy is trying to stop a structure from falling.
Yeah, Kate gave me nightmares when she was brutally murdered in cold blood because she was effectively neutralized. That guy committed a war crime.
The first one that I mentioned, Mahalia, actually uses her lipstick as war paint because another one of the squad gets killed and she's baited into a revenge run, which is a death run, as you do.
Quick question for Patrick.
Shoot.
In the anime, does any of your team die?
I haven't seen the NT movie, so I can't answer that accurately.
okay.
But from what I can tell, it looks like because of Yago's leadership, he managed to get in a lot of the skirmishes throughout the NT movie. He managed to not have any losses for the Shazar team until like the very, very end. And even then, like, Jonah basically lost the RX-9 narrative trying to do whatever against the Neo Zeon 2. And nobody died.
No, he didn't.
Yago was a very competent commander, so he gets top marks in my book for managing to keep his 7-man team alive. Or was it 6-man? Something like that. Either way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So back to Zappa. Zappa, did you have anything else to add?
Not unless you have immediate questions.
No, I think that's good for you. Now we have Cody with his team. Cody, can you go over what you chose?
Yeah, so I probably picked the most hated team on this list. I went with Gundam Seed Destiny, so that tells you what you need to know. This is the Jewel team, so this is Ezac's mobile suit team from Gundam Seed Destiny. We do see it kind of. We see him in Diarca pop up, but there is a third pilot, which I'll get to in a moment, who is technically there as well. So Ezac, dual Gundam from the first series, very comfortable with close quarters up front in your face combat. He's going to be piloting a Goof Ignited, which he pilots in the series. Diarca going to sit kind of more mid-range on this with the Blaze Zaku Phantom, so he's going to have the missile pack. I thought about giving him the long-range cannon, but he doesn't really use one towards the later part of the series, so leave missiles, standard beam rifle, and then the beam tomahawk. And then you have Shiho Hasenfuss, which is another ace pilot, another red of Zaft, so kind of the equivalent of what Ezac, Diarca, Athma, and all of them were the first part of Seed. A test pilot that actually takes place, that exists in a different manga, and pilots a Sigyu, which was kind of the predecessor to the Jin. Kind of think...
How do you spell that?
Cgue. So it was Zaft. Yeah, Zaft followed very similarly to Zeon in their development technology-wise, beam weapon.
Yeah, why didn't you pick the Dom team?
That would have been a better one, but I like Ezac, so I had to throw him in here.
Stream attack.
Full disclosure, I only got into 4 episodes of Seed Destiny before I decided to never watch the rest of it because it was so horrible.
Great, so no one dies, that's all you need to know. That's the important part.
Nobody dies.
The problem I had with Seed Destiny, I'll keep this very short, was after watching Seed and liking it at the time, I still don't mind it, to be honest, but I watched Seed Destiny, and they kept spouting off all these different factions. I think there was like 6 to 8 different factions, and I couldn't keep track of them anymore, and I'm like, I'm out. I don't care anymore.
It gets better about that, but yeah, it is very weird at the beginning, because you get more into not just the Earth Alliance, but like its weird subsidiaries, and then like the shadow government that runs it. It's very confusing.
Yeah, was the opening to that anime? Was that the one where they were displaying a new mobile suit, and then someone attacks and wipes out the government officials that were watching?
Yeah, they don't die,
like
but
that?
yeah.
Literally, it starts the same way Seed did. The one thing I didn't like about Destiny already right off the bat was the fact that Kira never grew out of, oh, why does everybody have to die? When he should have done that about 20 episodes in on Seed. You know,
Kira, I have some bad news for you. Everyone on my team dies.
yeah.
People die when they are killed. But yeah, so the Jewel team, the last person, Shiho Hasenfuss, is a test pilot that we see in the manga, one of the manga series, who also shows up in Astray and uses that weird Sigyu. It's like a very specialized beam weapon.
Deep arms?
Yeah, the deep arms.
Yeah, that one's cool. It's got beam. rifles basically strapped to its shoulders.
Yeah, the Sigu looks like a Zaku and a Jin had a very ugly baby.
Basically.
Yeah. So Xeon had the same Zaft had the same problem as Xeon in the 1 Year War, where they didn't develop beam weaponry for mobile suits quick enough, which is what the Deep Arms was a test of, and that's she test piloted that and actually went toe to toe with the Red Frame. She didn't destroy it, but she also didn't get destroyed, so she's a pretty competent pilot. Aside from being a Red and a test pilot, she's an ace level pilot. But I didn't want to give her the Deep Arms because the Deep Arms kind of sucks by comparison.
So your team has 3 mobile suits?
Yeah, just 3. I thought about adding 2 ships just because Ezac at this point is actually a captain, so he commands 2 Nazca class carrier vessels. They're not really designed for or they're not going to do anything against these mobile suits for the most part, but they're neat. But really, it's mostly going to turn into a close range, slight mid range combat.
Yeah.
Just because you can use the Blaze Zaku's in close range, but those missile pods and the extra thrust they give, they're going to work a little bit better towards a mid range.
Your team pleases me greatly because I have both Goof Ignited kits.
They're really the Goof Ignited gets slept on so hard. It's such a good design.
If I might interject quickly, just for confirmation, the Zaku, is it a Phantom or a Warrior?
So Diarca's is a Phantom, Shiho's is a Warrior.
Okay.
And you have the Phantom, right?
Yeah, Diarca's got the Phantom, which is the one with the 2 shoulder shields, which is kind of like the commander version. And then Shiho has just the Warrior, so she's got just the 1 shield, kind of like the red Master Grade Gunner Zaku Warrior that came out not long ago. Basically that body.
The one for what's her name? The red-headed hottie there.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, and I feel super bad about that now.
Luna Maria.
Yeah, Luna Maria. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the Zakus aren't really going to stand up to a Gundam level thing, but the Goof
they were awesome.
Technically could. I mean, it wasn't like it's going up against the Freedom for the most part.
I like the Blaze Zakus. They're cool.
Yeah, they're all pretty solid, and I felt like I didn't really need a long range, so they all kind of match up fairly well with what else is on the field. And no one dies, so that's a bonus.
Okay, so to recap, we have the Shazar unit, which consists of 2 RGM-96 full armors and 1 just a cannon. Sorry, did I get that wrong?
Yeah, they're not full armors. They're Shazar types, which in this case, basically Justas with Stark Jagan backpacks and full armor unicorn boosters.
Okay, sorry about that. Zappa's team is from Victory Gundam, and it has 1 gun blaster and 4 gun EZs. And
That's
then we have
correct.
Cody's team from Destiny, the Jewel team, which has a Goof Ignited, a Blaze Zaku Phantom, and a Sigu?
No, the Zaku Warriors is the standard one.
Oh, Zaku Warrior.
Yeah, just because the Sigu, she test pilots it, but the Sigu Deep Arms kind of sucks by comparison.
Oh, sorry.
Big time by that
So
point.
it's a Zaku Warrior Phantom? Or Zaku Blaze Zaku Warrior?
The Blaze Zaku Warrior is what Shiho has. Yeah, I know, right? So just think of it, Shiho and Diarca have the same unit, just Diarca's in the commander type. They're both just the Zakus with the missile pods and the big backpack. Just Diarca has 2 shields.
Those big shoulder shields are handy, though.
Yeah, big boy shields.
Okay, I think I'm gonna have to pick Zappa's team as number 3,
Yes.
based on the fact that they're just off the shelf grunt suits.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually.
They are.
I would rebuttal that.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Zappa's team has the most technologically advanced and high maneuvering suits out of the bunch of us.
That is true.
Yeah, we are way down the line from UC 97.
Yeah.
Let me put it to you this way, Zappa. The performance drop between the Victory Gundam and the Gunnies is literally, in terms of raw acceleration, only half a G. And it uses all the same armaments that is available to the Victory Gundam.
Mm-hmm. They can
few...
grab those overhang cannons from the V-dash and use it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's there. It's an option.
So I would dare say, in terms of standard modularity, the machines themselves are far superior.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
you messed up everything now.
I know, right? I'm so awful.
I know. It's like I came here to lose, but I might come here to win because
Mario Kart.
You're factoring in mobile suit tech.
Yep.
You're not factoring in team cohesion.
Oh, I'm factoring in team cohesion.
Oh no! I know you are, but it's Chris.
Okay, well.
So one thing I will say about that, which is not necessarily 100% equatable, just because C Destiny tech to UC tech gets weird. But
yeah, it does.
We do see in C Destiny, well, not mass produced, we do see beam shields technically start existing at this point. So it's safe to assume that the Cosmic Era technology jumped roughly to around where we start seeing that introduced around like the F91 era. So I'd say I'm closer time-wise, but still technically speaking, yeah, the Gun Easy and Gun Blaster are a lot closer to a Gundam than a Goof or a Zaku.
So the Cosmic Era is parallel to the UC, or it happens after the UC?
It's different.
Yeah, so the Cosmic Era is the Gundam Seed universe, so like we see...
So it's parallel to UC then, it doesn't happen after UC.
Exactly,
Correct.
yeah, it's an alternative timeline, but like in the UC, for an example, you don't start seeing the implementation of beam shields until like the F91, at least more commonly, maybe the F90. With the Gundam Seed, you start seeing that in the Destiny. So if we're equating the beginning of Gundam Seed, the first episode, to the first episode of the UC, the Cosmic Era, Gundam Seed jumps way faster to that beam shield.
To that end, like looking at even the base Zaku Warrior, that's no typical Zaku, man. Like if you were to put it up against a Zaku 2, it would demolish the Zaku 2. The Zaku Warrior is more on par with the Oldsmobile Army Zaku Refined I talked about in our last podcast from Formula 90 era. Like it's got like half of the armament. Like it even comes with a beam tomahawk standard. Like who does that for a Zaku? or its beam assault rifle, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Or its beam cannon, which I have to keep avoiding in the video game.
This is base model warriors. We're not talking the cool fancy ones either.
Plus the Goof, like, which is generally...
It's no Zaku.
Exactly, it is no Zaku.
It's no Zaku.
But
this ain't no Zaku, boy.
Doesn't Ezac even use that line?
No, that's Rambo Rawl from...
No, but
Ezac uses a very similar line. I can't remember exactly.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, but he does.
They literally make a Ramba shout out to it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but what we see...
That's such a good meme.
At least we can debate whether or not Heine was a better pilot than Ezac, which is debatable, but the Goof itself is shown to be pretty equatable to like the Gaia Gundam that starts off Gundam Seed Destiny. So it's still like a really advanced mobile suit. Is it a Gundam? No. Would it like go toe to toe with the Freedom? Probably not. But
for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, it wouldn't go very far. But generally speaking, the mobile suit itself pretty well handles itself amongst anything else in the field right now. But Ezac also being a captain at this point and going through like several really large-scale, very important battles in Seed Destiny.
And don't forget all the cool scars on his face from surviving those battles.
Yeah, he looks fucking rad, but he's very adept as a commander. Like he captains 2 ships, multiple mobile suit teams, plus his own personal team. So he's not necessarily as fiery and as red hot as he was in Seed. He's a lot more reserved, comparatively speaking, to be able to make those tactical decisions on the fly, knowing, okay, I don't want to get Diarca killed or Shiho killed. how do we kind of work together as a unit. So group cohesion, pretty high. I wouldn't say, they're not going to die for they're not going to kill themselves for each other, but they're a pretty tight-knit team.
Would you say he handles it like a boss?
I would
Boss or a leader?
Like a boss.
Like a captain. He's the captain now.
Like a captain.
Make it so.
Punch it.
Okay, so with this new information,
Da-da-da.
Ha ha ha.
I'm gonna have to choose Cody's team as number 3.
Oof. Knocked down a peg.
That means
Choose
that's
to
number 2
lose?
before. Sad.
You were, yes.
I mean, let's be real here, though. Number 3 is the real winner. Bronze,
The true underdog.
yeah, Bronze still gets a medal, gets to go home, and didn't go crazy.
Doesn't have to deal with popularity and photo shoots.
Yeah, you just go home and pawn that medal and go back to your part-time job.
And for number 2, I think I'm gonna have to go with Pat's team.
Yeah, I expect it to be at the bottom.
And number 1 is, of course, Victory Gundam. Based on
Okay.
their versatility and their beam weaponry and their power output.
I have to ask, how many of the girls die? How many of the girls die in this combat?
And the fact that they're willing to sacrifice themselves for their team members.
Yeah, it's like, I don't see any of the other ones willing to jump in and take a hit. Like, there's a scene, and it's not about one of them, covering for the other, but they work as a defensive unit. Everyone lines up, shields up, and blocks like several mobile armor beam shots from the White Arc, I think it was.
And who?
Yeah.
So it's like they're willing to work as a unit to defend and attack together.
Now, the important thing is who they are protecting. In all reality, Baby Char Baby.
Yeah. Char's secret love grandchild.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I came across a very interesting discovery a while back about Char's children. But that's other video game related lore.
I did hear a rumor back in the day that there was going to be an Usos counterattack movie.
Yeah, I'm sure that would have gone well with him meeting up with even older Judo as Gray Stokes, where the ZZ Gump finally takes its last beating and Judo gets his black victory too, which looks like pure sex in a Gundam form.
That's another series I haven't gotten around to watching. It is Victory Gundam.
You will cry.
Because it's so bad?
No, because the way Tomino wrote it, it's been documented as such. Like, he was going through a weird time in his life.
He
And
killed
literally-
even more people?
Remember, he's called Kill 'Em All Tomino.
Oh, I know.
He literally basically had, again, girls from the Shrike team die in one scene. Uso would bawl his eyes out, and then the next scene he'd be totally fine laughing like nothing even happened, not 5 minutes later.
Right. Yep. Carries his mom's head in a helmet, cries his eyes out, and the next episode, back to the next stage of the plan.
Yep. Like, the emotional damage is so real. I don't know how Uso somehow manages to suppress it. Or let's not forget how Shakti's mom dies in front of her, too.
Well, the one thing I remember from Zeta Gundam is how chaotic Camille was. I have a feeling it was a direct representation of Tomino as well.
Tomino was going through another shitty part of his life when he wrote Zeta, but from what I remember seeing of Camille, especially having rewatched Zeta again recently, he started as a very angry teenager, and then as bad things happened, right, he started to actually finally mature. Of course, getting the shit kicked out of him by Luo Wang didn't hurt either.
Yeah, and he lost it more than a few times before he stabilized into the slightly more mature Camille.
Oh, come on. You loved it when he raged and killed like 20 people. I know I did.
Only to be turned into a vegetable in Double Zeta.
Oh, for 34, 38 episodes, and then boy did he come back.
Yeah, I have to get through that.
Because he does come back, and boy does he ever. Judo was
so
like,
I found-
who the fuck are you?
I found the obscure data I was looking for while y'all were talking about Victory Gundam. In the video game Real Robot Battle Line, made by Banpresto and Wikisoft, Musica, no last name given, is the secret granddaughter of Shar Aznable.
Musica. The hell is that?
Yes, in a completely Super Robot Wars style video game that's not Super Robot Wars.
So it's totally
She's
not
the main
canon.
character, and there's time shenanigans afoot, and she gets to go piloting things around with Grandpa Shar right out the 1 Year war.
So she's Uso's mom?
No,
I don't know.
Maybe.
She'd be...
This is a video game OC.
Oh,
It's not canon to anything.
Oh, okay,
It's a
okay.
one-off.
It wouldn't be...
The obscure video game knowledge.
It wouldn't
What's-
be Uso's mom. It'd be like an alternate gender bent Uso.
Oh, okay.
She has blue hair, so I don't think they're related at all. Like I said, secret granddaughter.
So Quest
Somebody had an affair somewhere.
Quest. My money is Quest was the mother. Although that wouldn't work because she died right away.
Video games.
Enough
Yeah.
said.
They can
I
do
just
whatever they want.
I just want to see more media on Gaia Gear, even though I know that's almost impossible now.
Yeah, there's very little about it. And was it a manga or what was it?
It was a manga. It's so awesome though, because they basically set the stage with events happening shortly after Victory ends, and both the Zan scares and the Jupiter Empire being out of the picture, and basically the Federation starts hiring bounty hunters to do more of their work out in deeper parts of space called Manhunter.
What
and-
UC does this take place in?
This is still UC, but the timeline for when this all starts is about mid UC 60s is when this commissioning of Manhunter, this bounty hunting mobile suit agency takes place. And just by the time it actually all matters and Afrantia Shar is in the spotlight, the space terrorists, as they ended up being dubbed, I forget what they were called before they were dubbed Metatron, but as soon as Afrantia Shar was ready to take the lead while he was actually being held in prison on Earth by the Federation and broken out by what then would become known as Metatron, which was his space terrorist liberation.
Were they
Group.
man machines?
The man machines were what they called the mobile suits of that era in UC 203.
Oh, look, there's a Char clone.
The one true Shar clone,
Yep.
because he's a biological clone. Sorry, Rick and Morty makes me think of that joke. The one
But hey,
true
I'm
Morty.
surprised I came out of this grunt suit battle the victor. The victory. The Victory Gundam.
It looks like Gaia Gear actually starts in UC 0155.
Yeah, well, that's when. Well, no, that's not when the story starts. That's when chronologically things start to happen to make it happen, which involves the theft of Shar's genetic material off of some random genetic code bank satellite in the middle of God knows where in space.
Yeah.
And things just go from there. They literally make a test tube baby out of Shar's genetic material, and he has a really hot wife in Gaia Gear,
It's
and
too bad
actually
they don't
gets
make
to that.
an anime from this one.
They should have. But again, they did this back around the time of Zeta, back when they hadn't solidified the Gundam look yet, and there was too much legal crap, and Gaia Gear was officially left in the dust. And G-Savior is considered official canon.
Yep.
So,
It died in Gundam Build Fighters to prove that it was real. I like my villain laugh. It's good.
All right, I think this concludes episode 3 of our podcast. We're at 1 hour 35 minutes.
Hey, that ain't bad.
I hope everybody is happy with my decisions. If not, I'm sorry.
I am surprised at your decisions and very pleased. I will let Dr. Akumu know that he brought a winning team to the table when he came here to make you cry.
Yeah, tell him to lay off the sake.
Hey man, he's a sponsor of my show. I don't know. I'll try.
Oh, be gentle then. Be gentle.
all I can say is, if y'all got a problem with the decisions rendered, well, let's hear who you think should have won and why in the comments.
Yes, in a 500 word essay.
Or 500 letter essay. Let characters. 500 character essay. Tell us why the Victory Gundam team would beat the Gundam teams also as well.
All right, I'm Chris from the Gunpla Network.
I'm Pat.
I'm the Spicer.
And I'm Zappa from Axis Communications and Entertainment.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, and as always, keep building.